Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can use the Cloudmersive Advanced Virus Scan API in Power Automate. Our virus scan connector is currently limited to only virus and malware scanning, so this will expand your security options to include 360-degree content protection against executables, invalid files, scripts, macros, and more. This process is really simple. We're just going to create a custom connector using the Import and Open API from URL option that Power Automate provides. Starting on the Power Automate homepage, our first step is to click on the Data tab on the left-hand side. Once we do that, we'll see the Custom Connectors option come up right away, and we can go ahead and click on that. Once we do that, we'll end up on the page where we can eventually manage all our custom connectors. From here, let's look at the top right corner of the page and click on the New Custom Connector dropdown. This list will provide several different options we can use to create our own connector, and like I mentioned before, we're going to use the Import Open API from URL option. This option is extremely easy to use, and it will fill in all the information we need automatically. We'll barely need to input any details at all. Clicking on this option will bring up a window which allows us to name our new connector and paste our Open API URL. Let's go ahead and give our connector a name, and then we can go about getting the URL. To get the URL that we need, let's head to the Cloudmersive website. From the Cloudmersive homepage, let's click on the search button and type Postman. Once our options show up below, let's select the first option called Getting Started with Cloudmersive and Postman. When we click on that, we can scroll down and find a list of all the Cloudmersive API URLs available to us. At the very bottom of this list, we'll find the Virus Scan API URL. Let's go ahead and highlight this URL and copy it to our clipboard. After that, we can head back to the Custom Connector page. Now that we're back on the Custom Connector page, let's paste in our URL and click Import on the right-hand side. After a second or two, we can hit Continue on the bottom and start the process of checking all our custom connector details. There are 5 total steps we need to check through here, labeled as General Information, Security, Definition, Code, and finally Test. The URL upload process does almost all this work for us, so we just need to check through everything and make sure the details display correctly until we get to the authentication step. We'll start off on the General Information page. Here, we just need to make sure the description automatically pops up the way it should, and that the scheme is set to HTTPS, and the host properly displays api.cloudmersive.com. Moving on to the security page, the authentication type should be set to API key. Below that, parameter label, name, and location should display the way it does on my screen here. On the definition page, we should see multiple API iterations, which are called actions in Power Automate terminology. This is where our CRUD operations are defined. The first action should have its information displayed in the box that says General up here, and we can click on any of these actions we want to make sure they display information properly within that box. Below, we can review the request parameters, and here we should see the API URL path associated with our selected action. On the next page, we can optionally add custom code to transform requests and payloads. I'm not going to add anything here, but it's worth noting that you can use C# code as long as it executes in 5 seconds or less. At this point, it's time to create our connector. We haven't gotten to the test portion yet, but Power Automate won't let us test anything until the connector is created anyway. Let's click Create Connector and wait a few seconds for that process to finish. Once it wraps up, we'll automatically jump to the test page. From here, we can create our own connection to test the connector using a Cloudmersive API key. To get one, we just need to register a free account on the Cloudmersive website, which will allow a limit of 800 API calls per month. Once we have our API key copied to our clipboard, we can click New Connection, and that will take us to a new window where we can paste our API key and click Create Connection. Our new connection might not show up right away, so to get around that, we can click this little refresh button in the connection box. Once we do that, our new connection shows up and we know we can now test it. To carry out our test, let's click Test Operation in the Scan File action without adding any new information. When we do that, we should get a response that looks like clean result true and null. At this point, we've completed the process of adding our advanced virus scan actions into Power Automate. To access this connector, all we need to do is open up a new flow, click New Step, and navigate to the custom bar. Any custom connectors we create will always show up here. Now we can scan files for viruses and malware in Power Automate while additionally setting custom restrictions against unwanted file types. With our demonstration complete, we've reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions about how to set up custom connectors or use any of our connectors in general, please do not hesitate to reach out to a member of our sales or support teams. I'll include a link for you in the description below.